Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us for the very last edition of HR Mentorship Learning Series. And we are ending it with a very fascinating topic, Poise in HR. And we have the privilege, honor, pleasure of having as our facilitator, our instructor, our lead discussant for tonight, Ajia Sadatu Farouk. I would like to read her profile just to mention that this is our second time in quick succession. All things being equal, we are very privileged to have her in such quick succession. Sadatu Farouk is an accomplished leader with over 2 decades of capital market experience. She has hands-on experience in leading and managing teams, developing and executing organizational strategy, and she possesses an excellent knowledge of corporate governance in Nigeria's capital market subsector. She also has similar extensive experience developing and managing relationships with senior level management and institutional investors in diverse industries. She is highly proficient and adept at managing multidimensional teams, exceptionally skilled in addressing complex issues, achieving high impact results, and providing strategic leadership whilst driving change. You remember the last topic she taught us was on change management. Ladies and gentlemen, Sadatu A. Farouk currently heads the Learning and Career Development Division of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Nigeria, where she provides training and opportunities. This contributes to the Commission's success and ensures that employees are equipped with the necessary skills to excel in their role. Over the years, Sadatu has been creating and executing learning strategies and programs, evaluating individual and organizational development needs, also implementing various learning methods company-wide, some of which include but not limited to coaching, job shadowing, online training, and so on and so forth. So designed and delivered e-learning courses, workshops, and other training assessments with the aim of supporting and ensuring the plans of the organization is fulfilled. Ladies and gentlemen, I must say that she's a member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, and she has served the institute in several roles, and still serving. Ladies and gentlemen, our last speaker for the year. Please let's welcome the delectable Ajia Sadatu Farouk. Over to you, my sister.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Good evening, everyone. It's good to have you all connected. We're speaking to Poise in HR this evening, and my name remains Sadatu Farouk. It's good to be here, and I'm glad to close this year with this fantastic and unusual topic. I told a story to Doctor why I chose this topic, and it's because we want to change the way HR is being perceived in our various workspaces. When they say the HR person is around, you see people trying to package themselves, either hush-hush talk or begin to hide some information. You are just like the police of the organization, so to say. So we want to disabuse the minds of our workforce to say we are all in it together, and we just need to do this HR in a different way, let me put it. We do it very professionally, but let's put a bit of relaxation into it so we're not perceived the way we have always been perceived. So I have the privilege to start this presentation by So this is how our presentation will be looking like. We have the introduction. We have the importance of poise in HR planning, cultivating poise in HR practices, and the conclusion. I think it's just 11 slides presentation. But again, we're going to speak to more than that 11 slides as usual. So what is even poise in itself? Poise is basically our ability to remain composed and confident and maintain that demeanor in every situation we find ourselves, especially in our professional space. And it involves the displaying of a sense of self-assuredness, emotional intelligence, and professionalism while interacting with our colleagues and our other stakeholders. So it goes beyond these appearances that you wear good clothes, you're dressed properly, you're prim and proper, but it encompasses how individuals carry themselves, basically about your comportment, how you communicate, how you handle issues, challenges, and how you are able to manage conflicts and navigate the dynamics of interpersonal relationship. So that is poise in itself. So we're bringing this poise, looking at the assuredness, emotional intelligence, the professionalism, and how you are able to interact with your space where the workforce is, to the HR practice. So we're not perceived like that policeman, how they see us all the time. So in HR, poise is just your balance and the composure you bring to bear in your space of work. And it's very essential for effective management and communication. So poise enables HR professionals to navigate interpersonal relationships, resolve conflicts with ease, and handle our organizational changes confidently without having to run, maybe to management all the time. You should be able to work with the policies and guidelines that has empowered you as the HR person to put all workforce in order to align with the mission and vision of the organization. And it is actually the backbone of an organization HR. HR itself relies on poise to build trust. If you are able to comport yourself, come out in an assured manner, manage conflicts, put yourself on the table, you'll be able to build trust, get respect for yourself and the profession, and enhance employee relations as well, because you have enabled them to trust you. So we'll basically be looking at what Poise does within the space of HR, its impact on leadership and the culture of organization, and also our practical strategies for cultivating this very simple word, poise. We do them either to or to the contrary, because when you're able to have emotional intelligence, be able to take control of the space of your workforce within an organization, you're already having the poise. But how do we situate it in its real, terms in HR? So by maintaining poise, HR practitioners contribute a harmonious workforce and drive organizational success, where everybody tends to team together, trust yourself, respect yourselves, and you'll be able to contribute meaningfully to the organization. So we're looking at the importance of poise in the HR space. There's nothing I'm saying today that is different, but it's just to situate them, in the right perspectives. For number one, we have effective communication. It's very vital in our HR practices. And poise enables professionals to convey these messages very concisely, clearly, and assertively. And of course, not in a harsh manner, so that people will not misunderstand us, and we ensure clarity. When communication is clear and is sent and you get the right feedback, you'll be able to establish a very harmonious and positive work environment. But when you have mistrust and you have people running away from your policies, looking for how to circumvent your policies, looking for how to bend them, it is very clear that you have an ambiguous communication, which people have not been able to take very clearly, either by you practicing it and having double standard, and people begin to actually mess the work of HR for you. So we need to actually be very clear about our communications, put them out very calmly, and communicate very effectively with effective feedback as well, to enhance how we practice the HR and manage our persons. Secondly, again, conflict resolution. Poise helps HR handle conflicts neutrally and constructively while resolving issues. It helps to maintain and preserve good relationship and foster a very healthy workforce and a very, very good work culture. Let's talk about the work culture. whatever the reflection of every workforce in every organization, it's a reflection, is the culture that reflects it, the practice of HR that reflects culture in the persons and in the workforce. And that is what anyone who walks into that place sees first, to say, oh, this is the culture of this place. And what helps you to actually achieve that very effectively is when you put poise into conflict resolution by having a collaborative resolution approach, not punitive resolution, not punitive actions. And that is why HR is seen like the police of the organization. I'm not saying there shouldn't be punishment where people infract. Of course, there should be punishment, but we should be able to ensure that there's compliance to policies so that people infract less and we have less conflicts to help in crisis management. When your HR manager or HR officers have great emotional intelligence, they are able to respond to uncertainty with calmness. A composed approach helps provide clarity and reassurance, of course, positively influencing your employee morale and retention during challenging times. I know some organizations that people had to leave because of double standards or how they manage the workforce in terms of uncertainties or when they are in challenging times. When you have this emotionally stable HR practitioner or HR head, you are able to drive your organization with ease out of crisis. Also, leadership and influence. Poised HR leaders, of course, inspire confidence. When you earn respect for yourself and you are able to build trust, you will definitely inspire confidence and you are able to influence the organizational culture effectively. When we find ourselves in organizations, I know organizations that where you work there, even when you are not well paid, but because of the influence of that organization, the culture of that place, you're perceived to be someone who can be trusted and you'll be proud working in such organization. And that can also help you, to earn you either retention where you are or even earn you poaching, when people are able to trust the culture of where you work. So how do we now imbibe this points in HR practices? Emotional intelligence training. And what do I mean by that? We develop emotional intelligence, for HR professionals to ensure that their poise is maintained. Emotional intelligence training can help individuals recognize their emotions, basically to know who you are, be self-aware, be able to understand others, and be able to even manage your own self and know how to respond to situations around you, either within your teams or even within the organization as it were. So it helps you also to manage stress. When you understand people, it is very easy for you to know how to react to the situations you find yourself or to individuals around interpersonal relationship. And that goes a long way to, help to manage your stress. There are some persons, they who are not emotionally intelligent, they tend to always think of, they tend to be very negative. Let me put it that way. Most of the time, they are very negative people. They put negative energy out there. Whatever you say is all about them because they are so unaware of who they are. They are very, very unaware of how to manage the other persons, within the workspace and even the work environment. So we also said we should look at mindful practices while incorporating mindful techniques such as deep breathing. Of course, meditation helps a lot. Everywhere now is about mental health. One of the strategy when you go for mental health classes is to tell you how to meditate, how to take deep breaths, how to manage your stress, how to be positive, how to be focused. And this helps HR professionals maintain their own composure under pressure as well. Regular mindful practices foster a sense of calm, allowing for more thoughtful responses to challenging situations. All of this also is an offshoot of your emotional intelligence. How emotionally intelligent are you will help you to be mindful, will help you to take deep breaths. You know when to sit back and assess the situation and know when to move on to put, yourself out there. So you don't put on yourself under pressure and have burnout, probably even transfer to your teams or even transfer to management as it were. Sometimes you see some HR persons breaking out at meetings, losing their calm and all of that is all consequence of little or no emotional intelligence. Feedback and self-reflection is very important. It encourages a culture. It helps you to understand how your demeanor affects others, how your mood comes in to transfer to other persons within the teams and even within the space of the organization. We've had, there are situations where you see heads of HR who are seen to be enemy to workforce. Some are seen to be totally on the side of management. Some are weak to be totally on the side of employees. So you need to know where to strike your balance to get, of course, you have to take in self-reflection to enable you know when to come midway and be able to be that umpire between the employees and the management. So this also helps to identify triggers that may disrupt your own poise. It enables you to develop strategies for maintaining composure in the future when you have self-reflection. I mean, I expect that we'll have feedback from this session we're having, and that also will go to help me as a person and any other person who will want to look at self-reflection as a strategy for poise in HR. Feedback is very important. We hear it all the time. It's a gift. Sometimes it can be very bitter. It really can be very touchy, but again, it's all to help us become very good professionals and better persons where we find ourselves. Role playing and simulation, yeah. I don't know if I can do this, Doctor. I would want to hear from persons in the audience how Poise have played out in their HR practices. If that is allowed, I would like to hear from the audience as well. Real life.
Fantastic. So
Yes.
what we will do is, if anybody wants to talk, and of course, people
Just
are
by raising
encouraged to talk, all they need to do is they should raise their hands and we will enable them on mute.
Yes. So please, audience, if you can hear me very clearly, I would like to share from your own experiences some sort of how you put poise to HR practices, or how poise is lacking in HR practices and how it affects the culture of the organization or the HR practices within the organization. We have 32 audience tag participants here. Let's hear from you. I will learn as well. Hello. No one is interested to
Please
share
raise your
experience with me.
hands to contribute.
Yeah, because this is something that happens daily within our space. We're talking, with Doctor before this presentation started. We're talking around how people pick their nose, put their hands in their pockets, they are not composed when speaking. You see them fidgeting. They don't find their comfort zone very quickly. People without stage influence, people who fidget so much and all of that. That is a natural thing, but your ability to stabilize and take control of your session is what really matters. So little things like, bite your finger, scratch your hair, put your hand in the pocket. Those are even the minutest thing, not to talk of the bigger ones where you are perceived like, the masquerade has come into the room. Except if what I'm saying is not correlating with how we practice our HR. Hello, everyone. Can I even hear a shout out if people are hearing me? Hello?
I can assure you.
Hello.
Maybe they are trying to.
We can hear you, ma'am.
Yeah, good evening.
Ma'am, we can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, I need you to speak to me and speak to every other person here connected, how HR's Poise stands out in HR for you or otherwise. It's what we do every day. It's just about our self-awareness, our comportment, our assuredness, and how we translate all of that into professionalism.
Sir.
Yeah, someone is about to speak.
We are with you.
Okay.
You know, on this Poise matter.
Doctor, this conversation has to be two ways because this is very critical for our HR practice.
Yes. You can speak. Ayokunle, you can speak.
Please go ahead. Share experience with us. You know, there exists myth around, oh, the HR person is a wicked person. And that's what we want to disabuse the minds of our own people. We are part of them. We're driving the process and policies for the organization. And how we support ourselves, even as a team, matters. So how are you able to put yourself out there in a more assuring way is what we're asking. Real life scenario.
Ayokunle, you please unmute and speak.
How that impacted on your personality.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, Mr. Ayokunle.
Yes, please.
Yeah, mine, this is what actually happened then. Because the company where I work, we are into real estate and giving of loans. So at the time, I discovered that I tried to create a kind of a structure, because when I actually joined the company, it happens to be that I'm the one that tried to put certain structures in place. And my boss happened to be the company happens to be the first company that she is going to establish. So while I'm trying to put some structure in place, so she was thinking probably maybe the structures or the policies that I am trying to come up with is anti to employees having them around. Probably it will take them away from the company so that we can have a good way of communication while on the job. So I discovered that anytime we want to disburse loan, my boss will just go ahead and do some things without me knowing. So, and I've told her that each time we are going to disburse loan, the account officer that we want to get, we don't have that in place. So she said that I should still try as much as possible to see in that disbursement process. But at the end of the day, I discovered that my boss just went ahead and called on the loan supervisor. Then she handed over check to her. I was like, why? So I began to ask some questions, because where my point is coming from is this: not us, we are just trying to ensure that we are like the umpire between the company and the members of staff of the organization.
Employees, yes.
So I'm like, ma, I want to know the people that we want to disburse this money to. I don't mind, even before we get the people that will go around to monitor if these people that are going to be collecting this money are real people. But those things that I'm trying to come, in fact, I have to design organizational structure. But at the end of the day, I can say the whole thing is just coming from my boss. That at the end of the day, what I put down, my boss will just go around with, she will tell them that they should not allow me to know. And at the end of the day, I'm being seen as a bad person. It was after everything were now going bad that she would just be telling me, why would this thing be going like this? If there is anything, they will not come to me. The next thing, they will go to her. But when something bad happened, she will not be calling me that I should come. I should come and attend to it. But I don't know how this thing started in the first place. So they were not tagging me as a bad person. So at the end of the day, as I'm telling you, we have loaned about 25 million out. And many of these staff that disbursed this loan, many of them have resigned and they've gone. And here I am, every morning and night, my boss will be begging me that I should not leave, that everything that I have said from the beginning, they're all playing out. It's like I'm an angel. I'm not an angel. I can actually foresee what was ahead as at that time. So that is just, but there is no, that I was unable to provide a solution because everything has scattered already.
Oh dear.
So
Dr. Adeosun, would you want to speak to it? Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Ayokule.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Dr. Adeosun, would you want to speak to it?
We have a group of owners we call one-man businesses, even though more appropriately, we call them owner-manager business.
Yes.
And because of how they set up the organization and how they have grown and achieved success, after a while, they attempt to professionalize their systems, processes, and structures. But old habits, they say, die hard. And before you say one or two things, they will say, oh, if you are that good, why are you working for me? Or why are you not running your own business? And, there's a role for business visionaries, and there's a role for professionals, technocrats, and to engage with them and convince them. Sadly, in some instances, some of these business leaders do not learn until they've had their fingers burnt. I wish the first time my brother, advised, they had taken his advice and worked around his suggestions and implemented things around it. But again, failure is part of learning. Yes, I understand you can go to a business school to learn. You can buy a book and learn. You can join a webinar like this and learn. But some of us need to actually experience some measure of failure. Hopefully, we can internalize that failure and then going forward, make the necessary adjustments and know that that's part of our education as a business. So I'll give another personal example. I used to work in a particular organization, and when I joined, in fact, my first 2 days of joining, they told me that, oh, please, in this organization, a lot of people used to come late to work. And to show that we now have a proper HR, in quotes, proper HR, I want you to issue queries to people coming late, go through the attendance register, maybe in the last 3 months, all the people that have been coming late, issue queries and the likes. And I told the person was quite senior to me. This person was a director in the organization as at that time. I said, please, I appreciate you telling me what to do, but can you tell me the problem you want me to solve? Leave what to do. What problem do you want to solve? Say, okay, Oluyemi, I want many people in this organization to value punctuality, come to work on time, and so that lateness will be far, few, and in between. I said, madam, is that what you want? I said, please, can you give me 1 month so that we'll check punctuality? But can I use my method and not use your method? Said, Oluyemi, I just told you what to do. I said, ma, I want to get the result without your method. Said, tell me what you are going to do. I said, ma, the people that have been coming early, punctual, what have we done to celebrate them? She now paused. She said, but that's why we pay them. They are supposed to come early. I said, well, you have a point, but just to watch me. Give me 1 month. If my method doesn't create certain type of result, I will fall back to your strategy, your approach. Say, okay, let me go ahead. When you are in a place, sometimes they will listen to you for the first few days. Guess what? I took the attendance register and identify people who are coming late. What with the graphic team, we have somebody in creative. We now started celebrating them. We celebrate so 22 days in March, didn't come late once. And we started celebrating people for being punctual. Guess what? From the second day after we started the celebration, lateness just started reducing. Lateness, by the end of the month, from a situation where like 20 to 30% of the people used to come late, only less than 5% of the people were coming late. And that lateness changed. So, in that organization, the assumption was 8 o'clock. So people used to come to work like 8:45. They now started coming like 8:10. So there was even though they were still late, because anything after 8 is lateness, but there was improvement on their lateness. Again, I'm just using it as an example of Poise. I could have taken that other approach individually. Guess what will happen? In my first 2-3 weeks at work, I will create enemies needlessly.
Absolutely so.
Needlessly.
Absolutely.
So that's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It basically goes to speak to the fact that if you're self-aware, you can manage yourself, you can manage others. And that is what emotional intelligence underscores. The moment you're able to bring that to your workspace, you have a safe workspace and you help the organization grow even better. And people can even trust or would like to come work with you. So Poise is very critical to our process, and it's something that we should not take like Mr. Ayokule, and it will also help you in managing crisis. You were in a crisis situation, and I implore you to read more, and again, open yourself to more understanding to be able to manage some very difficult bosses who will not want to do it in your style. If you compare your scenario with the scenario of Dr. Adeosun, they're slightly different from themselves just because of Poise. Thank you very much for sharing. Okay, so we're coming gradually to the end, and that was why I brought that small role play or having to share, true life experience with us. So in conclusion, I would like to say that Poise is an invaluable trait for every HR professional, influencing our ability to communicate very effectively without ambiguity and clarity and great clarity, be able to resolve conflicts and lead with authority. By cultivating Poise through emotional intelligence training, mindfulness practices, role play like we just did, and of course, taking feedback, whether nice or otherwise, HR practitioners will be able to enhance their effectiveness and contribute positively to organizational culture in an ever-evolving workplace. Very fluid these days. The ability to remain composed under pressure is not just an asset, it is a must-have for your HR to be successful. On this note, I say a very big thank you to all of you who are listening to me, and I appreciate you all. And I look forward to 2025 having to work a long way together with Dr. Adeosun. If there are curiosities, questions, I don't mind taking them. And we can have further conversation around it.
Thank you so much, Ma, for sharing with us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight being the last edition for the year, we'll also have like what we call an open forum. By open, I mean you can ask any HR related questions or questions around your career as much as possible. Because you know this is a recording, please don't mention the name of any organization or person. Okay, you can use third person like, oh, a certain organization A, all right, so that we can share freely. But still speaking with respect to this subject matter, some of the situations where as HR professionals we need to demonstrate poise, as the case may be, could be very unpleasant situations. Depending on how large the organization we are working in is, as HR, for example, have you ever had to handle a situation where you lost your staff, or your staff lost a loved one, and maybe you need to go visit, or you need to be at the hospital? You still need composure. In recent times, in the last few months, this word steeze and composure has been reigning. But as HR, and thankfully, Sadatu mentioned it when she was talking about crisis. It is sometimes in those crisis moments, the crisis could be an individual employee crisis or an organizational crisis. It's in those crises that's the beauty of the HR profession and professionalism can stand out. I'll give a few examples, again, without mentioning organization. I remember I used to work in a particular place, and one of our staff had, electric shock. It was very severe. Guess what? This person was in the hospital for like 3 months. Every evening on my way home from work, outside office hours, I used to drive to the hospital, spend like 45 minutes with the person and go home. Note, this was outside work hours. I wasn't doing this because anybody instructed me to or gave me a mandate to. But guess what I noticed? Almost every day, different employees of the same organization used to come and visit him. Different people. He now got to a state that they say, every evening we used to see HR there. Guess what happened to what's the word now? The appreciation for HR. They couldn't believe it. And they also noticed that HR was using his personal time. You know, if you are going through work hours now, they say, okay, he's doing his work. They knew that this was not, because my work was still there anyway. This is just one important staff who had an accident on the job. By the time the staff was eventually discharged, he came to the office with his wife and children to come and thank me personally. Do you understand what I'm saying? In fact, I was thinking about that. Why would you carry your wife and children? He said, no, sir.
The whole family.
I was trying to be humble. Yes, madam. I was I said, sir, I was just doing my job. They said, no, sir, that wasn't your job. That they knew where my job stopped and where my personality took over. On Sunday, from my way from church, I will go there. On Saturday, if I go anywhere, I will branch there. They said, you took this very personal. Like you took me like a personal brother. I said, look, nobody plans for this kind of things to happen. Now, not only was he grateful, the people around him were also super grateful. I mean, his colleagues. So suddenly people began to say things like, oh, HR is very caring, HR is very supportive, and the likes. Another thing I would like to also say and share around this is that, by nature of what we do in HR, there's a lot of confidentiality around it. But guess what? Because some of these things are confidential, it is only the people affected that know what we have done. So the other staff, they don't know. Now, let me share one funny example with us. I used to work in a particular organization. In this particular organization, when they are giving employment letter, promotion letter, confirmation letters, I hope you are listening to the type of letters. Let me mention them again. Employment, promotion, confirmation, the good letters. The executive director used to sign. But when they want to do termination letter, sack letter, dismissal letter, extension of confirmation letter, guess who they will say to sign?
Suspension letter.
Suspension letter, head of HR. Yes. So when I got there, fortunately, the first few weeks and months, it was those kind of good letters. So I was like, why is this head of HR not signing these kind of letters? Well, I say different organizations with different approach. Right. Then the day one Yawa gassed, they wanted to suspend somebody. They now said the head of HR should come and sign. Come and see Poise. So in my mind, so when they collect a good letter and they go to church or mosque and they are thanking God, they will say, God bless this person that signed this letter. But when it is suspension, whose name would they mention?
The HR.
I now told the executive director, I said, madam, there's a law we call reciprocity. Yes. If the same authority signing the good news must sign the bad news. There's a lacuna. How can you be signing offer letter, but you are not signing dismissal letter? I said they can challenge this dismissal letter in court because they will say The authority that signed the dismissal letter is not as weighty as the authority that signed. That's I will do the letter, now give that Oga, she will now sign. You understand? Now, do you see what I did there? I'm sure you say, how is that Poise? That is Poise. Who now associate the office of HR with only bad news.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this Poise plays out in different kind of scenarios. And that is why we need to be what? Alert. We need to be sensitive so that we can be positioned to take the right action. Note, we also need to be, what's the word now? Careful. So I didn't just go to the director to say, oh, I refuse to sign this letter. I came up with something. I never had that rule before. I came up with it. I said reciprocity. She said, what does that mean? I said the same authority that can sign this must be the same authority.
I'll sign the bad letter.
That's how she started signing everything. You can't now come and use my head to, what's the word now? To crack a coconut. API, your hands are up. Please, you can speak, please.
Sorry?
Sorry, it's API. I can see. Okay. That's why. There's somebody's
hands are up.
Yeah,
great.
API.
Thank you, API. Good evening.
I'm sorry, I'm on the road, so there might be some noise at the background. So pardon me.
Okay, we'd like to know you. Your name here is API.
My name is Stephanie.
Okay, good to meet you. Good evening.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for as well. So I just wanted to give a scenario that I'm in right now. It's gonna take it's gonna be a little bit lengthy, but I'll try to shorten it. So I joined an organization recently. It's an oil and gas servicing company. And when I joined, just like we have different kinds of people, there were different things that were happening. Sometimes there's a lot of noise in the office. Sometimes people don't want to put on the right wears in the office. They want to wear slippers around. Some people come late and a lot of, other things. Sometimes people want to overstay their time in the lunchroom. And I tried every means. I mean, naturally, I'm caring, so I care for them when they have personal issues normally. And then I tried every means to make these people understand that these are not the ways things are being done in the office environment. From different conversations to calling meetings and, explaining to them. And I also went on to review the handbook, shared it with the EA to the MD, and also shared it to the MD and, explained reasons why this handbook needs to be given to everybody to understand the policies. Can you hear me?
Yes, very clearly.
Thank you. So
yes,
the MD, all right, sir. So the MD has refused to, at the moment, he has not allowed us to, to put the employee handbook out there. And so people have continued to misbehave, abuse authority and all of those things. And recently, it has also led some of them to becoming rude, because the more I'm having these conversations that, oh, you can't do this, they begin to see it as
an enemy.
Exactly. So recently, one of them had been misbehaving, back to back, doing various things that have been, that are wrong. And then the last thing she did, she did something recently, and I said, okay, I gave her a query, and I said I needed her to explain why she has done what she did. And then she refused to respond to the query. The EA to the MD decided to call her and ask her why she did not respond to the query. Funny enough, she was going on leave that particular day. I'm sorry, since long. So she told the EA that, oh, she was planning to respond when she returns from her leave. And I'm like, this must be a joke. I told EA that I won't deal with this, that if we allow this thing to continue, things will get worse. Before we talk about, since people have not agreed for us to push out this employee handbook, I'll go ahead and give this girl a suspension for abusing, the authority and all of those things. And we agreed and we did that. When she was supposed to resume, can you hear me?
Yeah, we lost you for a bit.
Oh, okay. I said, I don't know where exactly, but I had a conversation with the EA that
Yes,
because
that's right.
that the staff refused to respond to the query, and I said this lady has made up her mind to, go on with the wrong things, and I said she had to go on a suspension. So I gave her a 2-week suspension, and then on the day she was supposed to return, instead of returning, she put in a resignation letter. Now, people are beginning to act like, you're not saying, oh, yes, I made her leave. I should have done this. I should have done that. And I'm like, no, I cannot continue to condone somebody doing the wrong thing. This is somebody that I can't start mentioning the kind of good things that I've done for her. And it's not because I've done good things for you then, I'm not going to start to return to you. No, this is not about return to you. This is about you following the right policies. The policies of the organization, doing the right thing. So I'm in this situation right now, and I'm not sure, even though deep down in my heart, I really don't feel like I should care about, what people are saying about maybe I should have done this and done that. But I'm open to feedback that will help me to be able to handle these situations, this one and others moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing. I deeply sympathize with you in the sense that when there is a handbook that guides, like the guidelines for operation of staff within an organization, and you are unable to execute it, then there's a big problem. It still boils to what Dr. Adeosun said earlier around the one-man business stuff. Because if you are there as the head of HR, who will help to execute the policies and ensure that the procedures are adhered to, and you are not given the authority to be able to do that, then there's a problem. Because if the employee handbook is with everybody and they have the understanding, and when you met out any penalty, reference is made to that, the section of the employee handbook. If everyone is availed the employee handbook and they are made to understand it, it will reduce let me put it, the randy things happening in your office. It's very sad, but for me, I think you took the right decisions. And if you didn't get the backing of your management, just you as the head of HR will not be able to execute what you did, from the query to the suspension and the lady dropping her letter. So I wouldn't want us to prolong the conversation. I would have said, what was the reaction of your management? But let's hear from Morakiyo Oloyede. Good evening. Oloyede, are you speaking to the scenario painted? Yes, good evening.
Good evening. How are you? Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to make 1 or 2 comments about what the lady just said,
Yes.
And to say that no doubt about peculiarity of issues in one business, but I think HR professionals too will have a lot of work to do, have to ensure we develop more emotional intelligence to handle issues, because they will continue to come. Not every time we'll be lucky to have people who will behave within the rules or whatever. Why we are not saying we should condone, but we also have to find a way of ensuring that as advocates, we try to help the structure as much as the system allows us, continue to push. For example, I don't know whether that person reports to her directly or is a member of staff of another department. If one of those things we do as HR is to do some training or educating line managers so that we don't become a bulldog. You do training for them, HR for non-HR managers, letting them understand that, first of all, HR managers of their staff, so have to push words that talk about the issue of a handbook, let them understand, so that they will have made the staff accountable from their department before they become recalcitrant and creating issues in the organization as a whole. All those things will help and reduce the stress that HR manager or head of HR will go through. Notwithstanding, there may be
Absolutely.
one or two, but it may not be so common. And when we execute confidence and we don't give up, continue to engage those that matters, directors, owners of business after a while, and they look at the impact. I mean, you try to let them look at pros and cons. I can relate with some of them being rigid, but we also have some of them who are reasonable. If you are able to push and let them see the other side of it and implication for business and whatever, about the rating of the company, why people don't want to work for you, the implication on the attrition, all sorts of things. That's why I said that we must put on our emotional intelligent competence cap in handling them, because we continue, like you said, it's not about what has happened, it's going forward. So that when that occur, we will have laid background to how to handle them, educating people, engaging them, consulting them as a business partner in different fold, so that at least we win some to our side, to be able to sit in from the perspective of being professional to ensure you maintain the discipline within the organization. That's the contribution I will have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, Mr. Loyede. Thank you.
Afis, you have the floor. Afis.
Thank you very much. And my own contribution is that we should also realize that employee handbook is part and parcel of the contract of employment. And if the staff are not given a copy, and in the Senate client is that a staff must be given a copy and also sign for it in case of the issues like this, so that the staff will have prior knowledge of what is expected of him or her. And for me, the best way to resolve this issue is to give the staff a copy of the employee handbook and now come up with like an orientation program for them to know about their responsibilities and duties to the organizations, and the one they also need to as their own rights too. Because if they don't know, how can they now respond positively to what is expected of them? That's the little contribution I have to put in. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lasisi.
That was Afis.
I can see
Mr.
Uncle
Lasisi
K's
Balogun,
hand
you can
up.
speak now.
Uncle K.
Okay, thank you very much for this presentation. Apparently, it's as if this Stephanie API that dropped her, her comments is becoming like a case study on your presentation. So please, apology, I want to also speak to that. Well, as it is, usually, if we HR don't have the backing of management, it's going to be really difficult for that HR person to succeed. I mean, it's going to be really frustrating for that person. People naturally will not want to follow due process or rule of law and the rest. They want to, just be anyhow. So I really pity her, and I pity anyone that is in such organization. Okay, so having said that, I think if she's able to get the management on her side and all those kind of actions, she should just call the entire team. I don't know if she's listening to this call right now. See how she can have like a town hall meeting with all the staff and address it to everybody one-on-one. Okay, have this meeting and address it that, okay, so. If, of course, it will be documented in the handbook, right? Clearly stated and clearly spelled out. And then she'll call people and then have this talk with them. Let them be at that meeting, whatever they want to call it, town hall or whatever arrangement, then spell everything that she's been, noticing, clearly discuss it with them and let them know that this is not allowed anymore, okay, going forward. Then she can now begin to put some of those actions in place in terms of queries and because let them know that what they are doing is wrong. Beyond one-on-one engagement, there should be a formal engagement that will be on record that you took this step. And then when she's going to give the query, she'll reference that aspect of the employee handbook where that person has infringed. And then so it becomes easy for anyone that she's showing that query or anything to, that, okay, you actually went against the rule and regulation of that organization. So that quick thought just crossed my mind, and I thought I should quickly chip it in. Wonderful. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Before I will let Mr. Aliu speak, I would just want to add, speaking to the fact that you have to get the management to your side. You really actually have to get the management to your side. And like I say in my own organization, every line manager is a HR head, is a de facto HR head. You need to manage your team. You need to put them under control. You need to ensure there's discipline. You need to ensure that people live within the confines of the rules and regulations within the organization. But most of the time, what happens is that, oh, it's HR. Oh, it's HR. Your staff is not coming to work. How do you expect me to know? And you haven't escalated. So please, if API is still with us and you're listening, you need to work very hard to get your management on your side. If you get management on your side, that giving employee handbook is even a must-have. Most organizations, as you come in and you do your documentation, that's one of the first things you get. Then they do onboarding and sort of do induction for people who come in. And that helps to shape the, the culture of the organization as well. Mr. Aliu, please, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening.
Please proceed. Please proceed with your contribution.
Hello? Hello?
Mr. Assisi, is there an old hand or
Hello?
a new one? Yeah, go ahead,
Mr.
Mr.
Lasisi has not spoken yet.
So, I said good evening, everyone. And
Good evening. Good evening. Oh dear, it's having a challenge, I guess.
I think it's his internet. Let's take
Yes.
Mr. Lasisi Balogun's contribution.
Mr. Lasisi, is there a new hand or the old hand? Mr. Lasisi. Aliu's hand is up, but his network is poor.
Okay.
Mr. Lasisi,
Yes.
I think it's the old hand. Maybe I should help him know
Hello.
why.
Hello, madam. Can you hear me?
You're okay, yes. Is it an
Yes,
old
we
hand
can
or
hear
a
you.
new hand?
No, it's a new hand and it's just a fresh one, not old one.
Okay.
Can I still speak, or
Please
do
go
we?
ahead. Please go ahead. Aliu
Okay.
haven't
Thank you
been
so
able
much
to
for the.
speak.
Thank you so much for the learning. Quite insightful and a good one.
Thank you.
Per se, as an HR practitioner, when we assume duty in the particular organizations, or we notice some of these insubordinations or infractions or defaults, what we need to do is not to rush into handbook first. Like somebody has rightly put it, okay, they might have an old handbook which people are not following or they haven't updated. We need to engage the line managers, the line head first. Gets to know what's their perspective about the behaviors of these people, what's their reactions, and all of that. And from that reactions we get from the line head and the line managers. So the business owner, we need to engage them. And engaging them, if I happens to be in that shoe, I may have to do a PPT of the old handbook and present another PPT of the new handbook. State the pro and con, the details, terms and conditions, and the what will follow the infractions. Take the business leader, the owners of the business, the stakeholder, take them through properly, okay? And after taking them through, and they haven't responded yet, so, and an issue happened, I actually don't know the depth of what the individual has done, okay? But I've given query, right? So, giving query, did I carry the line manager along while I was giving query? Did I carry the business owner along before I gave the query? Okay. After giving the query, if I have not taken them along, now I need to go and meet not only the EA, the line managers or the business owner to take them through that, okay, this person hasn't responded. I need to take 1, 2, 3 line of actions. Do I give suspension? Do I write another query taking 24 or 48 hours for us to respond? Or do I wait for us to come back from leave? Okay, right? So all of these perspectives, you need to collaborate. You need to get perspectives. You need to get opinions of the people and all of that. Let's assume you're giving this individual query, you back it up with suspension, 2 weeks suspension. This individual, is she or he aware that after the query and she hasn't responded, the next thing is suspension? If the individual he wasn't or she wasn't aware, and I'm asked to believe the suspension is without pay, this individual has resigned. It's more like a constructive termination, right? That's the way I feel. And if this goes beyond this, the company may have to pay additional this and this. So we need to collaborate. We need to get people perspective. We need to get the reactions of line managers, of business owners, and they need to back up our actions before we take further steps. Not the way the thing is coming hard, coming painful, coming as if we are in a jungle or in. So it is when all of these things, we've gotten the reactions and you have committed it in writing and informed all the staff, you are taking them through, then we have backup for our actions. But the way it is right now, I would advise that any action you want to take, get the buy-in, get the perspective, the collaborations, the backup of all the line heads, the business owners, and all of that. That's my own contribution. And ensure you take all the staff through. Let them know the pro and con, the terms and conditions, before you can take further actions on this. Other than that, okay, I was faced with this kind of situation in one of the businesses I worked. At a point when I discovered the owner of the business was in UK, okay, and I'm managing it as the head of HR, and admin, right? So we got to a point, we did a redundancy, right? The man gave me letter of redundancy too, but he said he would call me back, but he didn't want me to be attacked, that I was the only one left behind. The man decided to lease as part of the business and left 2 of the businesses for me. But when I discover if I manage these 2 businesses, I will end up the way it happened that led to redundancy. Because I'll still gather the Nigerians to manage the business. So I engage the directors in Nigeria that I want to leave. One of them refused bluntly, almost begging me, wait behind, train somebody for a year before you leave. I said, sir, I cannot wait behind because I'm still managing staff, no handbook, no directions, and I want to put all of this in place, and they are not ready. The business owner is not ready to release the one I've done, and I cannot continue this way. So I have to resign and let the business for them instead of putting the business in a wrong shape or perspective. And that's my contribution. I don't want to take so much of our times because I still have so many other things to say. That's my own contributions to our discourse tonight. Thank you so much, madam. I don't know if you hear me, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lasisi. Thank you. That was very insightful as well. Are we still having anybody whose hand is up?
Let's try Aliyu again. Aliyu, hopefully your network is more friendly now.
Aliyu, okay now?
Yeah, my guys, actually, somebody was trying to reach me, and I don't know.
Okay, you are using it on your phone.
On my phone, yeah. I think we've actually throw light to the perspective. But the only thing I just wanted to say was what Madam said earlier. The fact is that I remembered one of these webinars we had one time when we're discussing about toxic environment and the toxic workplace and a good workplace and all of that. And it was mentioned here that there are some organizations that are toxic. Well, like when somebody said that, oh, there is no culture. And I remember when somebody mentioned that there is a culture. It's just that the culture, it could be toxic, and the owners of the business could even make it toxic. They want it that way. In the first place, change has a process. So if the owners of that organization are not buying into that process, it will never work. There is no advice they're going to give, because in the first place, how or what will make owners of an organization not allowed handbook to go out? It's funny. So that means that they are not in support of whatever change you want to implement. And once they are not in support of that place, there is nothing you can do that will work. That is just the truth. So thank you very much. That is just what I want to say. So the only thing advice I would
can we take it?
go
ahead, sir.
Sit with the management, made them to understand why you want to do this and all of that. And even before you can discuss one-on-one with employees and all of that, it must be that there is a sign-off handbook or policies before you can discuss. What are you discussing? There is no policy that has been signed off, that has been approved. So it must be signed off, and you now have what you can now use to discuss, even if it may have a policy awareness session or all of that. Thank you very much. That is just my little two kobo.
Thank you very much. We'll take Omonwa as our last. Dr. Adeosun, with your permission, we take this Omonwa as our last contributor.
Fantastic.
Okay, great. Omonwa.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Okay, I just want to contribute to what our sister Stephanie has said. Speaking from the place of, should I say, experience, have once passed through that process. I don't know if I should say most times business owner set up HROs to fail or push them to be the bad lights within the organization. I joined an organization within my first 2 weeks, something happened in the office. She even did a mail to let us know that she was not feeling fine. And I heard the line manager shouting, and I went to the line manager, can you calm down and let me know what the problem is? This person has sent in a letter notifying us that she's not fine via me. Why not wait for her to resume? If you don't believe her, ask her to come with a medical report. While I was on this, the MD walked in because the line manager was at the top of her voice. And the MD was like, what's the problem? Why I was trying to talk to the MD about it and why we need to wait for. He said, no, I did not employ you to become weak. If you are going to be weak, I'm going to fire you. Issue this person a query. A query was issued. After back and forth, the lady did not resume again. That's why she left the job. A little fast forward. After the first month, staff were not performing well. I tried to, relate with them what is affecting performance. The MD will come. What's the problem? You are the performance manager. I'm not seeing anything. This, that. I will tell him, no, I try to interact with these people to explain to them, make them know why they need to come. He said, no, I need to see query. Lo and behold, I don't know if some persons were above the law. And I noticed immediately queries are at, as he stepped into the office, the first person is calling is the HRO. And when he calls, he's not talking about your HRO function, but rather asking you about targets. What have you done about your target? Like, you were given a target to mobilize deposit. How much have you mobilized? Is it about telling others, what have you brought in? What have you not done? This, that, that. And this makes the role of the HRO less, I don't know how to put it.
It waters
It was just like a caricature. Yes, just waters it down. The staff no longer, even if you are issuing query, they see it as nothing. After a long while, I left the performance tracking. And again, you are coming back to tell me, what is happening? You are supposed to be handling performance management. What I did was, if I continue on this line, because already staff were seeing me as their major problem, that the HRO they had before never troubled them about performance. You are now coming in telling us to perform, to do this, to do that, and you are not doing your quota. In a meeting, a staff stood up and was like, hey, HRO, look at your own on the board. What have you mobilized? So all I did was, after then I stopped doing that. If the line manager is complaining, I'll tell the line manager, issue query, copy me.
Exactly.
I will interpret the policy for you.
Exactly.
I will interpret the policy for you. But for me, the query to come through me, don't tell me give my staff a query. No, give your staff a query. Let it come to me. I will interpret. If it involves sanction, I will put sanction. And there are some, if you want me to put sanction, I'll tell you no. Make reference to policies, set the kind of sanction you want for this staff. I will just do the needful from my end. So that's how I was able to win most of the staff back to myself. And I made them to understand, we are all colleagues, so the same way you were employed into the system, same way I was employed into the system. But the only difference is I'm like a middleman, mediating between you, the staff, and management. So I'm in between. Today I may be good to this side, tomorrow I'm bad to this side. So it's kind of, especially in this one-man kind of business environment, HRO is just like you are set up to either fail or set up to become a caricature before the staff. So the best way to go about it, push most of these things to the line managers to deal with. When they deal with it, you take your own action from the viewpoint of an HRO. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Michael. Mr. Omonua. Thank you. I saw Mr. Michael earlier, but unfortunately we're taking Omonua as the last person. But let's, Dr. Adeosun, do we drop our law?
Okay.
I'm enjoying the conversation. This has actually generated quite a lot of conversation here, and
yes.
I've learned as well very, very much.
Yes.
So are we taking Mr. Michael?
Yes, let's just take one or two more, please.
Okay, one or two more. Okay. So Mr. Michael, please.
Yeah, thank you so much. And my question is around the percentage that's allowed or is standard or ideal for reducing late coming in an organization. Is it 5%, like Mr. Adeosun just said, or is it below or more? What is the acceptable percentage that's allowed in any organization for late coming?
Dr. Adeosun, would you want to take it? Then I speak afterward. Okay, so Mr. Michael, for me, I think it varies with organization.
So,
Hello?
Hello?
Go ahead. We can hear you,
yeah. So like I was saying, I think, yes, I think it varies with organization and it's dependent on sometimes the employee handbook as well, or sometimes by practice. Where it is documented in the employee handbook, it's usually not ambiguous. I give you an instance of an organization that I know very well. What they do is you don't come late. If you come beyond 2 times in a month, you are engaged, not by query, but the head of that section will call you for a meeting or a conversation to even understand why you are coming late. And if you are a habitual latecomer, that's a different one. If you have been identified as a habitual latecomer, they just apply the rule on you straight, where you come 3 times in a week back to back, you're given a query right away. But when you are not a non-habitual latecomer, then you are called for a meeting and, just to hear from you what the problems are. Beyond that, if you're giving that verbal warning after your conversation and it continues, then you're giving a query to explain why you're still coming late, maybe 3 times a week or 4 times, 3 times a week back to back, then 4 times a month at any other week. So it varies. That's much that I know. So I don't know whether there's a percentage to it. Dr. Adeosun may want to speak to that.
So let me just say this quickly, because sometimes it's not really about legislation. But let me say this in a situation in an organization I worked. Again, I won't mention it, even though this is a good thing. Now, I worked in an organization for, I think, about a year. And in that 1 year or thereabout, maybe only one person was ever late. I will tell you, in this Lagos. But let me tell you what, that organization has 2 or 3 things that made people not to be coming late. The first one, there is free breakfast. So that organization works 7:30 to 4:30. Note their work hours, 7:30 to 4:30. Breakfast is 6:45 to 7:15. 6:45 to 7:15. So by 7:20, you can't eat breakfast. Note, the breakfast is free. So they don't deduct the money, and it is good breakfast. Whether it's what do you call it now? Continental, what you get in a 3-star hotel. I didn't say 5-star, 3-star hotel. Guess what? What used to chase people to work was the breakfast. Now, let me tell you the second thing. In that organization, when you come to work, you clock in. They use the clocking in to calculate salary, your working hours at the end of the month. So if you come late, your timing will be short. The only way your timing will not be short is if you work extra time. Do you understand? So in the organization, they don't use to chase any late comer. They use your clock in and clock out to calculate payroll. In fact, in that particular organization, even though we are paid per month, everybody knew their salary. Issues with lateness. So you don't and the likes. There are things organization do that nobody will bother. So if anybody genuinely comes late, what will come to your mind will not be this person is late. It will be, I hope this person is okay. I hope this person has not had an accident. All right? Contribution, and that's it. As in, that's it. So that we don't get query from other quarters or other stakeholders. Tunde, sir. Sir Tunde, you have the floor.
Okay. Thank you very much, Doctor. Thank you very much, man. Can you hear me, please?
Thank you. We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. I've been raising my hands. Maybe my phone is not showing it. Okay. I thank you very much, madam, for this lecture and your submission. I will sum up everything. Honestly, everybody has spoken what I wanted to speak about. People coming late, the issue with the lady and whatever. But I think the last person before Doctor and the other person too spoke my mind, as in everything revolves around the leadership. If you don't have the buy-in, honestly, if you don't have the buy-in of your maybe your director general or whoever executive secretary, because I work in a federal parastatal too, and I know I've been lucky or I've been fortunate to work under 4 director general, and I can look at the style that each director general and chief executive will bring in to ensure that they are disciplined, to ensure that people come late, people come early, to ensure that people attend training, to ensure that there is orderliness in every of the department. Number 1 is support of the leadership. If you don't get that, forget about it. The policy, the company policy, whatever you want to try and promote will fail. And of course, you'll be seen as, look at this guy, he doesn't know what he's doing. I have my cover somewhere else. But if you have leadership from head, from top to bottom. I say, come, go and meet the director, issue this person query, issue this, do this. If you are coming late, the policy is there, whatever, you will have problem. Now, in a scenario where you have problem, how do you navigate around that? That is very important. Again, it is leadership. You, the HR manager, the woman, the madam that gave lecture yesterday that we said we should suggest the experience where you can become a, please, can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, that's okay. Let's suggest what year do we have somebody can be called a manager. And I said, yes, in a proper structure, it takes 5 to 7 years before you can, because now you have equally experienced what we call rack and file. The lady that gave query, you don't give query that way. Me, I'm talking from my experience. You'll have been better. Of course, she said she's a very caring lady, caring HR, whatever. Of course. But query, nobody wants to be query. Nobody likes it. They take it, oh, you want to take my job away from me, even if you are your best of friend. What you should have done is to give him a kind of interdiction. Interdiction in civil service means, you have salary, or you say, okay, this is what you're going to do. Even the management will reason along with you. You allow her come back and call her for a meeting. Or, of course, you issue the query, let her come back, you issue another query, and let it be filed. And of course, at the right point in time when she wants to go for a promotion, so you cannot go for a promotion. You know what you did, so time. Others will sit up. And I think that is number one. Number two, part of this series too, somebody mentioned that if you have organizational culture where there is no discipline, indiscipline, we use organizational culture for breakfast. And I think one of the lecturers that Dr. Adeyemi brought said that, and that is the truth. When there is gross indiscipline in an organization, and you don't have the buy-in of management to establish how you discipline people, there's a crisis. So I think everything that boils to leadership. The number two is you as HR, you must have knowledge. You must be knowledgeable on what you're doing. And of course, one of the things that we HR, we fail to realize that we are like a Supreme Court judge. I'm sorry to use that like a Supreme Court judge. We need to be not to be seen, but to be heard. We need to calm down. We have all the paraphernalia to do everything, but yet we must know how to use it. And if you look at it very well in one of the presentations of psychological safety, people tend to see us as two ways. They can some people are very they can come to us and explain their problem. They feel HR is capable to resolve it for us. But some people see from far as it's a lie. They will even make your case more. So it depends on how we see it. So we need as HR manager, we need to be knowledgeable. We need to be open and engage our staff more. And see, we cannot use case A to treat case B. We must listen very well. And that's what I'm trying to say. We must listen to everybody. We must try as much as possible, listen to people's scenario, apply what is there. We must use the organizational policy. But of course, it is not for punitive measure at all times. We must be able to endure and ensure that, yes, let me don't use it this way. Let me support this person this way. Let me suggest this to the person. And you find out that they are equally human beings. They begin to have a change of attitude. I'm saying, oh, this man is so nice. Look at Mr. Adeosun, the scenario he gave. And number one, in the scenario he gave, it's about leadership. That's of course, please, will you allow me to do and use do this and use my own method because it's knowledgeable. Number two, leadership support is there. So these two things goes together, and I'm sure if we put up these skills, our challenges. Let me say, the challenges as a HR manager or as HR professional will be very, very minimized. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so summarily, it is all about the topic we're speaking with, the poise in HR. If you are able to drive the poise in HR, you will even minimize the problems for your own self. You will become the champion at the end of the day, because how you are able to perceive people and how you are able to regulate the people and how you are able to react as well, will go a long way to help you as a HR practitioner. Thank you very much, everyone. I sincerely appreciate us. It's been an exciting evening, very exciting as well. Thank you, and I look forward to a 2025 with all of us together crossing over by the grace of God. Dr. Adeosun, thank you very much for giving this opportunity all of the time.
Thank you. Thank you,
topic. I
ma'am.
like the conversations, and I like the fact that every of it again, revolves around Poise. Thank you very much. I don't know if you
Thank
have
you.
any
Ladies and
closing word
gentlemen,
for
let's
all
unmute and
of
say
us.
thank you to Ajia. Please, ladies and gentlemen, let's say thank you. Let's say thank you.
Thank
to
you very
ma.
much.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much,
ma.
Kaja.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Thank
madam.
you very much,
I
ma. God
enjoyed
bless
the
you
conversation. Thank
greatly.
you.
Thank you very
Have
much,
a
ma.
To see
lovely
you again.
evening. The night
To
is
see you
well
again.
spent.
Thank you, man. And
Thank
thank
you.
you, Dr. Joshua.